Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the stream. I am Raw Zim, and this is some tabletop prep this evening, where we're going to be auditioning a couple of new players for our Exalted game for Ebon Sails Exalted. We will be starting off with Zerda, as they got their application in first.
Oops.
Hello there, Zerda.
Oh, hello. Hello, Zim. I got several different characters. Just kind of depends what you're looking for.
We're not going to be telling you what we're looking for. We're going to give you a scenario, and you will need to, react accordingly.
Adapt or die! Dun dun dun!
I meant what kind of personality you're looking for. Whether it's epic style, funny, comedic, kind of like dangerous.
We are
Exalted style.
Yeah.
Sup. Exalted time.
Fair enough.
So Zerda does have Zerda's mic failed on them. I think it was a couple days ago, but they do have a new one on the way, so.
Yeah, I was using a blue ball mic, though it did cut out on me after about a year and a quarter. So I'm having a new one sent over. Hopefully it's not too bad. Hopefully the quality isn't too bad today. But yeah, I do have a new mic incoming.
You are just very quiet.
Oh, let me see if I can't. How about now? Does that change it a little bit? Oh no.
Not at all.
Increase the output volume. Dang it. I'll just have to talk really loud. Yeah, you might turn me up in Discord itself. I've
already done it.
Okay.
All right, so, Sark, I know you had some questions you wanted to ask. We'll get to those second. First off, Kerr, why don't you go ahead and give a little bit more of an idea of what Exalted is?
Alright, so for everyone here.
Real quick, brief idea.
Alright, 4 hours later.
You're gonna have to do this twice, so, you know. I'm not looking for, I'm not looking for an explanation of the whole world and its backstory and where every single blade of grass came from. I'm just expecting you to explain how the characters are and powers and such.
Don't worry,
Briefly.
he is doing a brief one, but he's stunting.
I need those stunt dice. Exalted is a world of heroes and monsters. It is a world of epic heroes, a world of over-the-top, grand, impossible missions being accomplished. This is a world where you are a person who can literally one-man an army, possibly. You are someone who could seduce an entire nation to follow you into the fires of hell if you needed them to. You are a person who could be so stealthy that not even memory itself can remember you. These are the stories of the greatest heroes of all time, the Exalted. There are multiple different kinds of Exalted. There are the Exalted dedicated to destiny, dedicated to changing and shape-shifting, dedicated to the dead, dedicated to basically empowering just the sheer human ability and potential in a person. Fate, cough. Literally, you name it, it can be done in Exalted. That's one of the easiest ways to put it. The
Any
world
anime character out there can be made in Exalted.
Yes. I literally know how to make a dozen or so characters in Exalted without even basically batting an eye.
Literally, I will sit here watching anime sometimes with Kurt, and he will be like, I know how to build that in Exalted. You just need this, this, and this.
Good show, good show.
Let's see. There are multiple different areas in Exalted, like when you go to the center island, that's basically like Imperial China. Over to the west are like island nations. To the north is the icy tundra, more like Viking territory, you could almost imagine. To the east are forests and jungles. And to the south are deserts. Think like mythical, like Agrabah and things like that. But there's so much that can be done in Exalted. There's so much that you could do in Exalted or encounter in Exalted that it is very much, you can almost make anything work.
I do like the premise. I can tell you that much. I like the premise a lot. I'm writing some of this down, actually. I like that. Am I supposed to introduce myself?
Yes, go ahead and introduce yourself a little bit. We're not getting to the actual character thing yet because that's a whole other thing altogether.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I am for my. I talking about like the persona self.
You, however you present yourself.
Yep. Hi, I'm Zoda Fox. I do DMs. I started up a DMing Starfinder on Sunday mornings. I do Pathfinder on Tuesday nights. I switched over from doing.
Quick note for you. You do realize that it's illegal for you to use DM for any system other than D&D, right?
I am not aware.
Yeah.
GM. I am a GM for both of those games. Sorry, so used to using the term for so long. I am a GM for both those games. After GMing for the other system for about a year, I went over to move over to GMing those, and now I GM this Starfinder on Sundays, which has been wildly successful. I also typically do tabletop games on Saturdays with my friends, and typically I do a lot of stuff like that. I've been in the furry community for like 15 years. Been here with Razim for like 3 years, very basically looking in his chat like once a month, just looking constantly. And yeah, I like to mostly do a lot of I specialize in MMO video games as well as roguelikes, and most of my time is spent on open world survival games, which is my favorite, along with I love crafting games, and I'm a really big fan of life skill games. I love collecting weird objects and putting them with other weird objects until you have a passable object.
All right. Sark, you had questions. Sark, are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay.
So, real quick, would you rather do something fun or something smart in in-game terms?
I typically prefer to have the smart over, sorry, the fun over the smart stuff, because typically anything can end and anything can be smart, but fun is always the key for me, because at the end of the day, like it's just having fun for a lot of the games and stuff. I prefer just to have fun. am very flippant with the rules at my own table.
A magnanimous
Really cool.
dispensation.
So, oh Jesus.
Tokeme tipped $110. Razim cool Razim Crete.
Crete.
Thank you for the donation. Jesus Christ.
Toshime, thank you so much for that tip and supporting the channel even more. Thank you so very much. The tip goal has been fully completed.
Everyone's getting nice stuff.
I haven't even given my performance yet.
Well, yeah, you're not getting nice stuff. The rest of us are.
Yeah, honestly, I'm just like
Get back in the army, noob.
I like hell of a fun games. Typically, I play more chaotic characters in general, so typically it's not chaotic stupid, more chaotic don't tell me the odds. So definitely more on the Han Solo line of things versus just chaotic stupid.
Hey, I forgot what I was going to say. Crap. No,
Okay.
I totally get that. Is there any other questions from you, Kurama?
If you're left with a decision that might cause a little bit of division in the party, like let's say might start an argument between two characters about whether we should release a demon or not, because it'll help us in a war, where would you side? And does having an argument like this in this sort of, I guess, player conflict, but not conflict in a way to where they're actually killing each other, but conflict to where it keeps it interesting. How do you do with that kind of stuff?
So typically when it comes to role-playing in general, there's two different ways you're kind of arguing. There's arguing about the rules, which basically puts the game at a halt, stops players, it stops immersion, it stops all that. But as far as I'm concerned, if players are arguing about choices in-game that affects them in-game and that could cause in-game consequences, then as far as I'm concerned, that's actually just playing the game. Like, fighting amongst yourselves in-game is literally playing the game. That is part of the game. It's like trying to figure out a puzzle. It's like trying to figure out what to do next. If you care enough to actually stop to say, hey, in my fake world over here, I think this is the best choice, and like, no, this is the best choice, then you're actually playing into the characters, you're playing into the world, and you're actually playing into the game itself. So anytime there is that kind of tension, it just shows an example of immersion within the game world itself, and it shows people actually caring enough about the game to actually physically put in the effort it takes to speak up about how you feel about the current direction of the game.
Alrighty, and one last question: if you're having a conversation, like let's say you're at diplomatic negotiations, and the head of one of the enemies, like let's say maybe the captain or the general of the army, of the enemy army, you're doing mass negotiations, and his head suddenly falls off after being decapitated, right before you're about to make your demands. How would you feel about that situation?
Are they necrotic is the first question, because falling heads aren't exactly always a sign of death. There is many those who choose to live themselves both unlive that are also alive. So is this a living or a dead person that seems to have their head fallen off, and can it be reattached?
This person is very much dead. Like they're not coming back. They've been completely decapitated.
Then you look to the person who did it, and they are clearly strong enough that is probably more important than the person who just got decapitated. And therefore, I shall listen to that person instead of the person who got decapitated.
The person that did the decapitation is one of your party members.
Oh, then I should definitely listen to them. If they're strong enough to decapitate someone of that power, then that's someone to be listened to.
I mean, literally all of us are at that power level.
Mm-hmm.
And that sounds like someone you should be listening to. If you're weak enough to get your head chopped off during a diplomatic meeting, then yeah, you kind of fail the diplomacy point at that point.
All right. Now, let's say the situation was diplomacy wasn't failing. It's just said person who cut off the person's head was just sick of hearing the other person talking, and so they just did it anyway.
Well, it sounds like the person who got their head cut off was too weak to have their head worth being attached to their body.
Jaffa says, even your healer has the strength to take on armies.
Yeah.
All right. I think that kind of does it for the questions I personally had.
All right. Anyone else have any questions?
Real quick, Zim, would it be okay if I posted a link in the stream chat?
Not the stream chat,
Oh, okay.
but you can do it in media sharing.
I just thought it would be easier. So let me find the thingy thing. Where are you, thingy thing? Oop. So I just posted a thing in media sharing for anyone who wants to go look. This is an example of the power level of what an Exalted can do. If you want to see, go to media sharing and watch that, and you will see it. Is there any other questions that anyone would like to ask him, though?
I actually did have one more that I thought.
Yes.
So if the party is trying to come up with a plan, and there's some mass negotiations, and you personally don't agree with the plan, but your character doesn't agree with the plan, but you as a player do. Let's say you're more of a I'm an honor-bound warrior and I want to go run and gun, whereas the other dude's like, I want to go and torch all their torch all their food stores. And you being the honor-bound warrior, you're like, nah, we can't do that. But the plan is decided that, okay, we're gonna have the rogue sneak in and do his sabotage, and your character is gonna do this. Now, your character is gonna go do some other thing. Now, this thing is pseudo against your character's nature, but you also know that it's a good plan as a player. How would you go about sort of making it to where your player could, without breaking his character, essentially go along with the party?
There's a built-in mechanic for that.
So typically that's why in most of my characters they play more neutral, but if I were to play more one-sided, typically in those situations you have to tell yourself, like, did I offer the most plausible solution? And if my solution is completely implausible, then you have to take a step back and realize, like, okay, what steps, like, when I'm talking about a theme of my character, like, what steps has my character taken to represent what their idea is? And if I can't come up with anything better than something my character then, like, that's different. But if my character's like, oh, like, we're going to kill children all of a sudden, I'm like, is my character taking steps to reasonably see if there is another alternative? Is there another alternative? And if have I presented that? And if I have presented that, then I'm like, okay, like, I don't have the power to stop everyone, but I also can do whatever I can to make whatever they're going to do have the least amount of not what I want going on. If it's like, okay, I'm gonna kill all the children, we're like, what if we save, like, at least 2 of the children, like, raise them in, like, a super bad orphanage that, like, teaches them to be, like, super powerful, like, spellcasters or something, at least let's take, like, 2 of them, So it's, like, minimizing what I don't like about the plan, and, like, minimizing what I don't like about the plan while going along with the plan. Just basically, if I can't stop the plan, then I can at least do damage control to it.
Okay. The root of the question was mainly like because there are times where, especially in this campaign, where we play very different characters, and we normally have to end up, going with plans that might not be what our characters would have first chosen. Like, let's say Sark, he's more of a does whatever needs to be done, whereas someone like Nevis wants to do really the most righteous thing, and somehow those two characters who are basically on the opposite sides of the spectrum still find a way to work together. So I think you pretty much
Sometimes.
answered it. Sometimes. But I think you pretty much answered it. That yeah. So essentially, the question was asking about party coherency and how you would try to find a way to go and I guess work with the party and put aside your differences, but still not breaking your character and making it convincing. But if you have anything else regarding that, feel free to say it.
Yeah, I think it's just one of the things is like, there's a certain point where it's like, there's a certain point whenever you start the discussion, where like you've placed all the chips on the table, you've sorted through all the chips and everything. If you get to that point, all the chips have been sorted, all the words have been spoken, and then you're resistant, at that point, you're just stopping everything from progressing by giving an ultimatum of either, this or that, and that doesn't really work. That's why, like, as you start seeing the chips played of the conversation and the words are being spoken, the people are giving their intents, the people are saying what they want to say, like, once you've as you kind of have this developing kind of conversation, that's when you start thinking, like, okay, where can my character's ideals fit into this scenario to where, like, it's that minimization or doing what I can to kind of twist kind of that fate to make it just where, like, it seems the best I'm doing.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty much the last thing I had. Thank you so much.
Okay. So, off topic here. Kerr, say he is so baby does not tell me if there is anything that you need to change.
He is so baby though. Oh my god, so good.
Exalted is a game of passions.
Who's baby?
I just sent him his icon for our Sunday Pathfinder game. I'm trying to get from him of whether there's something he needs changed or if it's good to go. And he just says he is so baby.
He's so baby.
He's so baby.
That does not answer my question.
It's perfect. He's so baby now. Look at the baby.
Jaffa says, I has a question.
Go for it, Jaffer.
What's up, Jaffer? Yes, you is also baby.
Jaffa says, you and the big bad are monologuing at each other, and the barbarian just steps in and one hits the big bad. How do you react?
I will stop for like about 2 seconds and try to think of the wittiest one-liner, the fact that I just got shown up by the barbarian. I have to at least come up with the wittiest one-liner to retort to the barbarian. So I'm monologuing and he kills the big bad while I'm monologuing at him. How dare. How utterly dare the barbarian step in and decide to place his foot so firmly in the rump of the enemy that I am unable to get my vocal words down his throat before the barbarian decides to exhaust all of his options to unalive the one person that I decide to go after. The audacity. I will be putting snakes in the boots of the barbarian by morning.
All right. The barbarian parries the snakes.
Ha! That's why he didn't expect the spiders in his soup. He was too busy worried about the snakes.
But he had a charm that enabled him to instantly sense that there were spiders in his soup. So he proceeded to swap soup when you weren't looking with the concept of soup.
And that's why you assumed they were living spiders and not spider mimics.
So,
But you see, he was prepared for that, and therefore actually already seduced the spider mimics in order to serve him instead, and they moved into your soup.
Zerda, this is a system where there's literally one of the exaltation types. They
Is
can
the
get
real
into a
exalted?
terrible situation and be like, actually, like 5 blocks back, I actually turned left instead of right, and they pop out of time and over to that spot where they would be at that point. This is a system where the DM, the storyteller goes, rocks fall, everybody dies, and everybody's like, no, we just parry the rocks.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, that's the wrong game. Perry isn't here.
You say
Harry
that like
was
it's going to stop them.
Perry was the name of the rocks. See, he secretly named all of the rocks Perry, so whenever they fell, he could say, Perry the rocks, and in doing so, makes all the rocks stop at his command, for them to now follow future commands.
You
And
know,
that's
I
why you
think there
have
is
the
actually a
al-
charm that would allow him to do that.
Yep.
And that is why that's why you always have to fear the army of Perry the Rocks.
Alright, let's go on with the roleplay part of this.
I actually think that that's all I need, honestly.
I would like
That
to
is
see
that
how he
thing?
actually roleplays.
Is that a
An
bad
actual-
thing? I feel insulted.
I would like to see an actual audition. Definitely has answered questions well, but I still want to see an actual audition.
Do you want Scottish? Do you want a smooth talker? Do you want a
Go with the
flippant-
situation that Kurt
That's fair.
presents to you.
Ooh, let's see.
How does he deal with an unconquered son?
I'm not that mean.
A what? I didn't hear what you said.
Don't worry about it. Could someone roll me a 1d7 that's in the if anyone's still in the never mind. I can do it myself.
I'll raise you a 5.5 minus 2.
All right. Thank you, Perry the Platypus.
Oh no, they've evolved. The rocks have evolved into platypi.
You have entered into a great city made entirely of glass. The glass reflects with every color of the rainbow. And as you make your way through it, you can see large reptilian creatures moving about, staying to the shadows as they watch you. Before a figure steps out before you. He is wearing grand robes. Beautiful, beautiful things. Made out of what you would guess to be some sort of silk, possibly. But there's these gold plates etched into the fabric. And in one of his hands, he holds a scepter, and the other one a clay tablet. And he looks at you. What do you think you're doing in my city?
So he would basically be the this is gonna be, I think I'm gonna go with Boomstick the honey badger in this situation. And I think let's see, so a city of glass. It's a well, I must say, mate, have you ever heard of a ball in a china shop?
This glass is from the city of Chiaroscuro. This glass is unbreakable. We
And
have
why-
forged.
Go ahead.
We have forged one of the greatest cities here using this. My city!
And now, your city, I want to introduce to my axe! And I'll see which one's more unbreakable! The axe from the Nine Hells, or your glass made from a little bit of crystal! Let's just see. I see an unbreakable glass. Here's what you represent, and I represent myself. An unbreakable axe. Let's see which one stands up to the challenge. And you see him kind of like, he pulls out this like axe that you would think just be a normal axe, but instead almost seems to have one side that is purely, that looks like almost like a giant ice pick that's just being these of this like glistening crystal, and the other side seems to be having a constant fiery glow about it, as it almost seems to be melting but keeping itself together at the same time. I've never met any object in this world that hasn't been able to be broken by this axe. And I come here to the city hearing about some unbreakable glass, and I can't help myself. So it's your fault for building such an unbreakable city. And now I'm here to test it. Consider your maintenance fees paid.
Boink. When you try to swing your axe, it hits the glass and bounces off.
So there we go, so that seems to be a test of one. Well, let's just see. And and you see him like, he kind of looks at his axe and say, well, it looks like the axe may be having a little bit of dullness to it. Let's see if you can pull out this, and he'll pull out what looks to be a flail of some sort. The flail head itself seems to have these spikes about the ball, and the ball itself almost seems to look like a miniature sun glowing as bright as it can, where the metal coming off of it is almost like little bits of electricity. Instead of, whenever I know about electricity is it loves to get all in the many cracks of the world. Let's see if there's any cracks in this glass of yours. And he'll take a big, like the biggest swing he can, and bring the spikes of this flail directly down onto the glass underneath him.
Boink. It bounces off.
Ah, so it seems you have exactly what I'm looking for. See, I've been traveling here, and I'm about trying to find the most impenetrable armor that I could ever muster. And it seems this glass might be exactly what I'm looking for, as long as this isn't some of your magical illusions here. Show me, do you have any of this glass available for armor by chance?
Unfortunately, no. Because we have something better than that.
And what might that be?
A shame. I don't think I can say that to a dead man.
Then it looks like you won't be able to be talking to yourself much longer now. You have to keep the monologue short. As you see him just dual wield both the flail in one hand and the axe in the other.
The man simply turns and starts walking away as a great green sun forms over the city and descends down upon it.
Well, luckily the glass may be impervious, but it looks like this creature won't be. And you see him start kind of moving forward at a quick space and trying to take the biggest leap possible off the ground to meet this creature up into the sky itself before it lands.
And in a flash of light, the green sun detonates, engulfing everything in its irradiating radiance. End of interview. Dun dun dun!
How was that? I don't know if I'm supposed to
We
ask
will
that.
get back to you if we decide to go with you.
That's the answer we give to everybody, though, too.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm good on... Okay, then thank you for much your time. I appreciate it. And yeah.
Thanks for
Thank
coming
Thank
by.
you.
Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. See you, Zim.
See ya.
Bye.
Alright.
Thank you.
See ya.
Have a good day, not what you ladders.
And for those, the rest of you here, by the way, we'll discuss them in the Discord chat.
Yep.
But we've got one other to interview tonight. I will share the recordings of the other interviews afterwards for the other two that applied that we already had a recent interview with, so I figured might as well keep those. Hello there, Nebish.
Oh, it's me.
Yes, it is your turn now.
Great. So how are we?
I'm doing okay.
That's good to hear.
So, the way this is going to work, Kerr is going to explain a little bit about the system, give you a brief idea of it, and then we'll have some questions for you, and then we'll get to the actual audition.
All right, sounds great.
All right. So, Exalted is a world of grand heroes, over-the-top spectacle, and doing the impossible. The Exalted will regularly face creatures, monsters, gods, and eldritch abominations from beyond reality's outer edge. And yeah, they kill it. They deal with it. They make the impossible possible.
Yeah, sounds pretty epic.
You name it, it can be done in Exalted. Any sort of anime character, any character from any book, movie, any sort of thing, you name it, it can be done. Go ahead.
Gotta pierce the heavens with the world's largest drill.
We could do it. Like, literally, we could do it. I know exactly how to build Gurren Lagann in Exalted. All we need...
Believe me, who believes in you, who believes in me.
Yeah.
Yes. We can do it.
Wow.
Really, it comes down to, like, what sort of things you want to do. You name it, though. It's literally like you just come up with like what you want. We can make it happen. The game's power level is far beyond almost anything that you've ever probably played before. Exalted is one of the highest power games starting out. Like, you are able to alter the course of geography with the fights.
Oh. I see.
Like, you have two people fighting, it's very likely, oh, there's a river nearby. Yes, the river is now flowing in a different direction.
Wow. It's like that, it's like Guardians of the Galaxy 2. You seen that one?
Mm-hmm.
When Peter Quinn and his dad fight.
Yes. If you want to see an example of what an Exalted sort of combat looks like, I did share in the media sharing of the ZGF Gaming. If you look there, you would be able to see basically a fight in Exalted in media sharing.
Let's take a little look.
Like, this is the sort of power level that we're talking about, being able to throw around willy-nilly.
Does Exalted allow for science fiction themes or ideas in there as well?
One of the group of Exalted are called the Auditions. They are basically robots with a soul in them.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yes, and they also come from literally a robot world. Well, kind of. It's complicated.
I will say it's not exactly It's kind of
It's
more
not the main
magic
setting.
tech. Yeah, it's not the main setting.
Mhm.
The main setting is going to be more medieval fantasy.
Yeah. Depends on which area you're in. But yeah, for the most part, medieval fantasy. But there is possible for sci-fi elements to make it in.
That's good to know.
Also, while he's looking at that, Toshime, I know that comic. I fucking love that comic. And oh, you made me smile when you shared that one. If I have something that you lack, namely range. I won't ask again. Click. Oh, the gunslinger's great.
All right. So, Sark, you want to ask Nebish here your questions?
Yeah. So, if you have a choice between doing something that's like meta, like sort of like the best strat and the best way of doing things, or doing something fun, which would you choose?
Probably the more fun one. Although ideally, I'd prefer that in a situation where my character doesn't die. But even then, I might consider just making a new one. If that's what happens. If it would require me to have meta knowledge to survive, you know. I mean,
Well, your character can basically make a decision. One of them is you would do it because it would, be more fun and be more entertaining, or you would do the, more safe option. That while it would be the smarter option, it would be, not as fun, I guess.
probably the first one. Although I don't think those are mutually exclusive. But I wouldn't want my character to make smart decisions because I know that they'll get a +1 this way, or they'll get extra gold this way, or whatever, you know.
Okay. And if you're in a situation where, let's say you're meeting with, there's been a battle and you're meeting with, the other guys, the leaders of the enemy faction, and one of your party just decides that, I don't like this dude's face, I don't like how he's talking, and he forcibly removes this dude's head from his shoulders. What would you do?
Probably ask them why and kind of react in character, and I would probably want to lean towards being on their side, but I think there's a limit. But
Okay. Often there will be conflicts between characters where basically two characters of the group or a party won't agree with each other. In a situation where the party decides to, after long debates, comes to an agreement, but it ends up that the thing that they came up with doesn't really fit with what the side that your character was arguing for. How would you go about sort of making it to where your character could sort of still work with the party, but make it believable and convincing?
That's a good question. I mean, obviously, in sort of a player sense, I know that group cohesion is kind of a good thing, and while there is possibility for splintering off, it's generally not ideal. I don't know. Maybe I guess I imagine the group would have formed a bond and a trust over time, and I'm sure if my character has questions, they do disagree with this action. But if the group really came to this decision together, and he felt it was legitimate, then I guess he'd just have to maybe let it slide at that point. Because he put his faith in the team, because that's what you do.
Okay, that's that covers my questions for now. Thank you.
Sure thing.
Okay, I have a question. You defeat a god. What would you forge him into?
Ooh. Maybe like a plate of armor. That'd be pretty cool. Like a special bit of clothing that would kind of have their motifs as the god, god of volcanoes. When I got a volcanic kind of breastplate, goddess of light, you got a blinding boots. I mean, there's always a weapon, of course, but I think kind of clothing or armor or magic items would be a little more interesting. But
Okay.
maybe even a house. I could probably make a god house. That'd be pretty neat.
All right. Any other
Here's
questions then? Oh, go ahead.
Yes. How would you deal with Domino?
Mate, you do
the
realize...
the unstoppable Mr. Domino from the video game, The Unstoppable Mr. Domino.
Toshime, please stop asking questions that they wouldn't actually know the context of.
Oh, darling, it's perfectly okay. After all, how would he not know of me? I am perfect. Everyone knows of my perfection.
I'm in love.
Jaffa says,
damn it.
you and the big bad are monologuing at each other before you fight, and the barbarian just steps in and one hits the big bad in the middle of your battle of words. How do you react?
Oh, is that for me? Is that a question for me?
Mm-hmm.
That is a
Yes.
question for you.
I'm sorry, I got caught up with Domino. What was the question?
You and the big bad are
Jaffa
monologuing
says,
in each
you and the big bad are monologuing at each other before you fight, and the barbarian just steps in and one hits the big bad in the middle of your battle of words. How do you react?
I'd probably just oh. Yeah, no, that's fine. Thanks. And then that could be kind of a schism between us. Probably more playful than anything else, but... Oh, I could also get very sad. I could be like, I really... Oh, man, it's... I don't mind that you killed him. It's just I really wanted to really stick it to him, And maybe I could tell him later. It's like a consultation or something. Guess that depend on the barbarian.
All right. Any other questions then?
Who puts pesto on their pizza?
Yum.
No.
All right. Kerr, let's do the audition. So the way this works is you'll play a character, Nevish, and Kerr will give you a scenario, and you gotta react to it in character.
Okay. Should I slate my character, or do you just kind of want to pick it up from context clues?
Just come up with a character. We're here to see how you improv. Because that's what tabletop games ultimately are. Just improv. So we want to see how you handle that.
Okay.
Let's see. You know what? I think I'll just go with the last one. I'm curious to see how you'll react to this one. You arrive at a great city that looks to be made of solid glass. The whole city is beautiful, breathtaking even, like a work of art. You can see creatures moving about. Staying a little bit away from you, They look almost reptilian, though you can't get a good look at them. They're too nimble. And they're not stopping enough to give you a chance to get a good look at them. As you arrive at the center of the town, in the town square, there's a man standing there, a staff in one hand and what looks to be a clay tablet in the other. She is wearing beautiful, beautiful robes of silk with what look to be golden plates worked into the fabric. And he looks at you imperiously, head raised. And what do you think you're doing entering my city?
Oh, I'm sorry. I've wandered in from the mythical mushroom forest looking for adventure. I did not see any kind of warning signs or gates. If that's what you call them. Yes, I've spent my whole... I'm sorry. I spent my whole life in the village. I do not know many things.
You do not know many things. Ah! Well, that cannot be allowed. Not here in my city. This is one of the most advanced places in all of creation. If you are here, then therefore you are one of my citizens, and I will not abide you being anything less than everything you can be.
Oh, I think that's very admirable of you. It's a very beautiful city here. It's very reflective and shiny. Yes, yes. So, perhaps I could study at the local library, or do you have a quest? I heard that's a thing I believe that adventurers do. I've read it in a few books.
What are your skills, traveler? What are you good at?
Well, let's see. I'm very dexterous for a 6,300-year-old man. I'm very good with people. I used to read to everyone in the village because I was the only one who could. I speak Gnome, and I can read it as well. Gnomish, however you wish to call it. I brought us a very short sword.
And what do you enjoy doing?
Well, for the longest time, I was very, I felt very comfortable in my village, but to be perfectly honest, I'm a bit disillusioned with my comfort zone. I'm looking for something new to do. I want to explore the world and see what there is out there. Oh dear. I've dropped all my storybooks. I'm sorry.
You! Come! You will accompany me to the palace, and we will figure out something for you. He walks over he waves a hand. Prepare a home for him. Make sure it's welcoming. Now you, come with me. You have the honor to be addressed by the Emperor of Kur himself.
Oh, that sounds very delightful. Is there any sort of courtesy I should know? I believe a bow is in order for such royalty.
You know your place, mongrel, and therefore your emperor is accepting of this. Now, come. We have much to discuss.
Yes, do keep a steady pace. I'm very small, very tiny legs. It's very hard for me to keep up with the tall ones. Oh dear.
And I think that's all I need personally.
Go. Thank you. Yes. I am the wondrous gnome Ikshaw, grand adventurer to be.
All right. Well, thank you very much for your time and coming by. We'll let you know if we accept you into the group.
Okie dokie. Thanks. Have a good rest of your night there, everybody. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Nukes
Have
should
fun.
be legalized.
Legalize nuclear bombs.
All right. We'll go ahead and discuss these in the Discord channel. But for now, thank you everyone for joining this evening. I guess we do. Well, do you have time for? I wasn't honestly expecting to have everybody show up tonight. So, otherwise we would have done the interviews at the end. But I do know that you've got a tournament tomorrow, Kerr, so do you have time for an actual session, or shall we call it for tonight?
I'm going to have to be getting up at 5:30 in the morning. So
Okay.
at most we'd probably have like an hour.
Okay. We'll go ahead and call it here then. Thank you everybody for joining us today for these auditions. Check out our website, zgfgaming.com. We've got links for our Discord, Telegram, Twitter, Patreon, and more. There on the website, as well as down in the description below through our link tree. Thank you to my patrons, tippers, and subscribers. It is because of your support that I'm able to continue bringing these streams to you all. I really cannot do this without your guys' help and support, whether it is financially or just with your time. Consider becoming a patron over at patreon.com/zgfgaming. It is one of the best ways to support the channel, though you can also do so by sharing the stream around, coming by and hanging out, subscribing to our YouTube, and just coming by and having a good time. But for now, thank you all so much for joining, and I bid you the most fondest adieu.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.